Howdy Ags. Welcome to Aggie Growth Hacks, the podcast sponsored by the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship at Texas A&M, where we help Ags improve their business, connect with other Aggie entrepreneurs, and support one another. I'm your host, Greg Martin, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2001.
And I'm your co-host, Chris Hunter, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 1998. Whoop!
Well, we got a little story for you, Ags. Rayne Knight, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 1990, is the roofer girl. And if you have been to any baseball game, any football game, anything, you know who Rayne is. But she started out as an animal science major and then fell in love with the roofing industry. And the rest, as they say, is history, as Rayne has built a super strong team that has allowed her to win 4 consecutive Aggie 100 trophies.
So pass it back and listen up to Rayne as she shares some good bull.
Well, Ags, welcome back. I am super stoked to have our today's guest on the podcast, Rayne Knight. Rayne and I have known each other for probably 3 or 4 years, and I've just admired her from afar and just kind of seen a lot of grit and determination as she has really had an amazing company that has had tremendous growth over the last couple of years, winning 4 consecutive Aggie 100 nominations and being the fastest growing Aggie owned company. And I think, Rayne, before we were talking about, you said you're getting ready for number 5, so we can't wait to celebrate number 5 with you. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Fantastic. Glad to be here, guys.
Well, we are also blessed. We are in College Station. We live and work here, but we're no longer students. Rayne, your class of 90. What do you miss about being a student at A&M?
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword living here in town. My daddy says you're on campus more now than you were when you actually went to school, but in a different capacity. So I would say I loved being in Clayburg Lounge and just all the shenanigans and things that went on in that lounge with other students. And back then we didn't have internet or computers. So if you were in the marketing class at that time, you had to timestamp in the lounge your trades on the market, and actually just being the irresponsible, let's go to the chicken instead of having to go to work days of being on campus.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And that's poultry science, isn't that right? That's you're studying poultry science.
I was actually animal science. Yeah, there was days that my dad and mom thought I was poultry science because we were at the chicken so much. But
that's hilarious. I think that's so. It's Kyle Field is the number 1 place where Aggies remember, and number 2 is the chicken.
Exactly.
Love it. So one of my favorite things about Aggie Growth Hacks here is to find out what your every entrepreneur's journey is. And so why don't you tell us a little bit how you got into Aggieland Roofing and CR Systems, and how did that even begin? How did it start, and why are you really passionate about it?
Absolutely. So about 28 years ago, I saw a product called polyurethane foam go down on a roof, and I was just mesmerized and became obsessed with the product. Tried to talk my dad into starting a roofing company for a couple of years. He finally said, I'm retiring, you start it. So we started CR Systems in 1996, and with wanting to do primarily polyurethane foam, which we do in the commercial division. It's actually what we do predominantly at Texas A&M and around the state. So I fell in love with that product, the energy efficiency of it. Just thought it was the coolest thing since sliced bread. Since that time, we've really become building envelope specialists. So if you have a small roof repair on your house, or if your entire wall system has failed, we can rebuild, exterior building envelope. And I continue to do it because I love the before and after of our business, especially commercial, being able to show some of those people who don't see their roofs ever, be able to show them the before and after. And like at Reed Arena, we were told by all of the facility people there, this is the first time the roof hasn't leaked since we built the building. And I
Wow.
continue to do it because I love hearing that. I love when we can, fill that gap for the customers and provide solutions that work for them.
Well, Rainey, how did you go from animal science to construction? I mean, was your family in the construction field before? I mean, because that's a big jump.
So I did grow up in the construction industry, and so had been exposed to quite a bit of it, through growing up. And actually, my senior year, I had completed a drafting program in high school and thought I wanted to be an architect, and then was like, I can't sit that long. There's no way I can be behind a desk for that long. Went to animal science and then just found my way back to construction because of this one product. And I don't know that it's kind of like drugs. I don't know that once you get into the construction industry, you can never get out.
Yeah, it just gets in your blood. I can sympathize and understand that. Well, you've obviously led a tremendous company and has, like we talked about, had one of the Aggie 100 winners for the last 4 years, hopefully year number 5 in a row. So you've had a lot of growth in the last 5 or 6 years. Is there something that you can really kind of point to that says this is the tipping point? This is something that really accelerated my growth and the growth of the company?
For sure. I can remember being so frustrated in 2013 and really went out and found a business coach, thinking, it's me. And, I'm the stumbling block in this business growth. And she was like, you're really poor at this invoicing and the computer side of it, the office side of it. Thanks. But at that time, I was trying to build, wear so many hats. And she was like, 2 things that just stand out is, number one, you need to do what you do best, which is sell, and outsource the rest. And so I had a good person, and I really brought him into a level of ownership in the company because his skill set is he can find talent where it just amazes me. Not only can he find the talent, but he knows how they'll work with one crew and not another crew. So, and that was Raul Ariano, and we made him a portion of ownership because of his talent there. And that also took me out of the field where I didn't need to be. The next thing I did was get a CFO. And I remember telling the business coach, I can't afford that. And she said, you can't afford not to because you do this part of it poorly. And if you'll go do what you do best, you'll make it up right away. And that was the game changer. And he's tough on me. He required me to learn the numbers. But growth is good, but it can also be bad. And so he made me, recognize we got to control the growth and make sure that it's good growth and that we're living through it. So those were the 2 game changers for sure.
Interesting.
Wow. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely love that. I mean, and especially that controlling the growth part. And the other part to me is that over and over and over again, we've heard from other entrepreneurs, getting the right people in the organization was a complete game changer. So that's really super interesting to hear that again, So tell me real quick, what's the biggest challenge that you're facing right now, and how are you overcoming and hacking that challenge?
So right now, material shortages are the biggest struggle ever. We were recently received a car dealership contract at the end of November We ordered materials the 1st of December, and they told us they should be here in next November of 2022.
Whoa.
And so
Whoa.
because we have a CFO that is kind of the voice of doom, you know, always doomsday talk and making sure that we were financially stable, we were able to fill our warehouse. We cranked it in and kind of looked forward and said, you know what, we're not going to get stuck, you know, being without materials for our guys to put down. And so it's a little overwhelming sometimes to walk out there in the warehouse and go, wow, we've got a lot of inventory in here, but we're able to work when other people can't right now. And it's keeping us afloat.
I mean, Chris, I was thinking about our conversation earlier in this season with Justin, with the specialty utility, and he said the same exact thing. It took a lot of courage to be able to pull the trigger on buying that inventory.
Yeah.
But when you saw the opportunity to be able to say, how can I make sure that my guys and girls are actively engaged and we're helping our clients, then that's going to set your reputation up so much. But that probably, how long was that conversation of, hey, are we going to buy this, or no, we don't need to buy it, find other suppliers? How long did that take, or was it a real quick, yes, let's do it and pull the trigger?
No, it was, you know, a substantial amount of money. And, you know, we are still coming off of COVID for, you know, a lot of the world. And, you know, it took, you know, I was like, I think we need to do this. I think we need to do this. And they were still looking at me like, ooh, we may be stepping way too far out there. But they supported me in my decision. And of course, they remind me it's out there all the time. And I remind them too. We're working, and we just bid a project yesterday. Everybody else could do the project in 6 months, and we can do it in the next 21 days.
Mm-hmm. So is your bottleneck now your crews versus inventory supplies?
That's absolutely correct. And weather, you know.
And weather. And after we're recording this, it's 33 degrees.
So. Not a great week for roofing, but hey, we're getting there. The spring is coming.
That's right. Well, Rayne, kind of looking forward as we are coming out of COVID, is there anything that in your specialty part of the construction industry that you see, like some technology changes, or, you know, some things that are shifting within the market that you really are having to adapt to change, and how are you going to capitalize on that?
So the two biggest things are the material shortages and not so much technology, because we've kind of changed all that we can as far as technology goes with our equipment. There was a few changes a year back or so, and we have all of the latest and greatest equipment with the most technological advances. But the material shortages in traditional commercial roofing are just not there. The great roofers that I have that are great friends, they are seeing, they just can't keep their guys working. And we're seeing many companies fold because of it. They just don't have the cash to continue on. And we're able to keep all of our guys and keep them working, and cost us a little bit extra, you know, because we had to buy in early and not really know where we were going to get to allocate those to which jobs, but it's really paying off now.
That's awesome. And I mean, it seems like if you positioned yourself, and this is exactly what happened with Justin, you know, does that position you then to take over market share, right? And I know you're in the Aggieland area, you know, here at Bride College Station, but is that positioning yourself for the future here, right? And getting your company more market share, really, as other companies fold.
Well, and we do a tremendous amount of our commercial work in, you know, Houston, Austin, Dallas, San Antonio. Right now we have a huge project going on in San Antonio, and you know, as others go out, we are able to pick up some of those key talents, you know, and add to our wheelhouse, which is, you know, going to be epic because
awesome.
they will expand the market share for us.
Yeah. Totally love that. So along those lines, you know, one of the things that we talk about on every episode here is our entrepreneurs, you know, big, hairy, audacious goal, you know, your 5 to 10 year moonshot. What's your big, hairy, audacious goal or your BHAG?
My big goal is to get our residential division as well greased as our commercial division. It's able to just almost, you know, muscle memory on everything, just because the crews have been there so long, the systems have been there so long. It's very easy muscle memory. That's my goal, to get our residential, which has been a challenge just because traditionally everyone uses subs for their residential with
during
all of the
construction
hailstorms and for construction of residential. We have just been so inundated because of the 3 hailstorms in the last 5 years. We have taken on our own crews to try to improve quality. And it's been somewhat of a nightmare, you know, just getting those systems in place and then saying, okay, this system doesn't work. Let's, you know, restart, you know, add, subtract, you know, whatever we have to do to make that system work. Finally getting there. But last year we started, October is our breast awareness month. And so we do a donation with our Pink Alliance here, local group, and we were able to give them a nice chunk. But my goal is to tenfold that this year in the month of October with our residential group.
That's
it's going to
so
take
awesome.
It's going to take a well-oiled machine to make it happen, but and then a lot of support from the community. But I think that we can do that this October.
Well, Rayne, what specifically, when you talk about the systems, just it's not as smooth on the residential as it is on the commercial? Is it just because residential has so many more variables? I mean, from pitch and the type of roofing and everything. I mean, this is showing my ignorance, but I think that most commercial, it's relatively the same. I mean, but it's not these funky roof lines that you see in some houses and stuff. Is that what makes it so hard?
A couple of things. So the first thing is roofing somebody's home is very emotional. There's flower beds, there's swimming pools, and you're just so involved in it because it's in your yard. It's like, I always tell people, it's like setting a bomb off. It's a disaster. There's trash everywhere. There's nails everywhere. And then it'll be cleaned up and it'll be fine and it's beautiful. But you do have to go through the war first. With our hailstorms, it's been so many different things because it's not just the roof. It's the gutters. It's the screens. It's the siding. And then it's because, okay, we're already doing the roof. Well, we need to paint this now before the gutters can go back. But you do the roof and then the gutters have to wait for a month. And then their flower beds get destroyed. You know, it's just so emotional because of all of those things and the interruptions. The other thing is there's no gutter materials unless you want white or black, you know, but if you want the bronze or almond, it's okay. Now we can get the gutter materials, but we can't get the elbows that go with it. And so it's delays, you know, where we can go do the roof, amazing, but now we can't find the siding. And so it's just taking some processes to manage all of the different components.
That's I can just, as you're talking through that just sounds so complex. And then, like you said, having to communicate that to the customer, to the client, to realize like, okay, we're going to get your roof fixed and it's going to take a week, 10 days, however long it is. but your home, the war zone, in some form or fashion, is going to exist for a couple months. And it's just because we can't get it. It's not that we don't appreciate you or we don't want to serve you. I just can't get your gutters.
Right. Or we ordered their windows and they're on hold for, 3 months. And you're like, there's just, our hands are tied, and it's like trying to have enough people in the office to communicate with them on a weekly basis so that, you still are in our thoughts. We haven't forgotten you. We're waiting. We're waiting. And, it's hard to keep up. It's hard. We ordered a washing machine and dryer that ours had gone out. And I continue to tell our office group, those people I've never heard from.
Wow.
Never. And it was expensive,
Yep.
And it's like, I don't want to be that company. But it's hard to keep touching on everyone to let them know we think we found your siding. We've ordered a sample to make sure it'll match. And now, it should be here in a couple of weeks. And then they're telling us it's 11 weeks out for production.
Ooh.
Well,
Wow.
you don't want to just forget about that customer for 11 weeks, but it's a management process to keep them in the queue, to keep touching on them and contacting them.
Yeah. And just a quick, probably 2 or 3 minute phone conversation every week goes so far in saying, look, I know it's not your fault, but at least I know that you're working for me, fighting for me.
Right.
Okay, we're going to roll into the lightning round, and the only rule that we've got is answer these questions in 30 seconds or less. So, Rayne, we're Aggie Growth Hacks. What is your personal favorite hack, whether it be in your personal life and your business life, technology hack? What is it that you can teach us?
First thing in the morning, spend some time with yourself, gathering yourself, reading, and just preparing for your day.
I love that. And we've heard that a lot. So love that hack. Okay. Next question. What is the favorite advice that you've ever been given, and bonus points if you'd let us know? How did you apply it?
So one of my friends in construction, who is much older, mentored me, and he said, don't ever take a job when you really need a job without sleeping on it. Because he said, you probably forgot something. And I did it. I did it first year after he told me not to, and we had left something, and it ends up costing you money. So now if we're slow on jobs, and something comes available, I want to really analyze it before we say, yes, we can do that.
And that pause is probably one of the most difficult things to do when you're anxious for that job. Rayne, what's your superpower?
My team. They make me look like Wonder Woman every time.
All right, Rayne, what gets you out of bed and excited about your business?
I love this industry. We have so much fun in the change that we provide to the clients, the before and after. But also, it's just so interesting to see, what people do in buildings, and to meet the homeowners, what they do. And then we just have a lot of fun in our office. You never know. We have windows where we can see into the hall, and everybody can see each other. And you never know who's going to break out into dance and, take sometimes what gets very serious. Yesterday was bid day, and it's very, very serious and dry. And then after it's turned in, somebody's going to break out into song or dance, and we have a lot of fun.
And let's step back up a second, because you have an absolutely amazing, a beautiful building that you built yourself and moved in within the last year. So during COVID, during the pandemic, and had a place to be able to put all that inventory. I'm just curious, what was the building process for you? I mean, you're doing everything for you. That's different than going in and helping a customer.
Oh, it was a blast. There was nights that because I was just so proud, so excited to have it, that I would tell the guy, get off the roller and let me drive this big piece of machinery for a little while. And just being a part of every every part of it. That was the bad thing about having the CFO is he was like, you know, you're over budget, right? And I'm like, a little bit, but here's the thing, you know, we're only going to do this once, right? And
This is an investment.
You want to do it right.
That is right. Well, it's a beautiful. I was joyfully able to be there for your ribbon cutting. It's just absolutely amazing, beautiful building. So, Rayne, how can Aggie Growth Hacks listeners get in touch with the Roofer Girl, which, by the way, is an amazing marketing ploy or just a moniker? But how can we get in touch with you? How can we support you? How can we help you?
You can get in touch with us at roofergirl.com. We are out and about. We just love the opportunity to look at anything. Even if we've had several people, because of all the hailstorms, just call and ask for insurance advice. We're trying to get licensing done for roofing in Texas. And if they just have questions about something that they've already had done, we just like hearing from you and being able to help some of these clients out.
Well, Rayne, thank you so much for your generosity and coming on the Aggie Growth Hack podcast and sharing everything that you have today. You've dropped some major value bombs here. And just thank you so much for coming out and sharing your time with us.
Well, thank y'all so much for having me. It's such an honor to be able to be asked on this. And I appreciate being able to share some of the advice that I was given, you know, years ago that not only was given, but it implemented and it worked. And so I'm pleased to be able to share some of that.
Well, how about that, Ags? Was that amazing or what? Rayne shared some super powerful hacks with us. What was your favorite one, Greg?
Well, I don't know if it was as much of a hack, but I mean, I've known Rayne for a couple of years, and her team that she has built is super amazing. And I love how she said that was her superpower. It wasn't something that she did, but she realized that in order for her to grow, in order for her to reach her business goals, what she wanted to do, she had to bring a team and create that team that allowed her to do that. And she did that. I know that you caught it, but her partial owner, Raul, who is an amazing guy. I actually met him before I met Rayne. And when I was talking to him about the business, he said, it's all about the team. It's all about building. It's all about motivating. It's all about knowing who works together well, who communicates better. And the fact that they have consistently made that part of their DNA has allowed them to actually grow and win and be an Aggie 100 winner for the last 4 years, but also to be able to say, look, this has got to be one of the biggest roofing companies in Texas. And it's because Rayne said, I'm going to build a team. So what about you?
No, I 100% agree with that. And that's one thing that we've heard over and over and over and over again is having the right team, having the right people in the right seats. So this is kind of related, right? I loved it. And I wrote it down when she said this: do what you do best and outsource the rest, right? That was her advice given to her by her business coach. And, you know, when she told her she was horrible at invoicing.
That's a harsh business coach, man.
I know. Wow. but sometimes we have, as entrepreneurs, if we hire a coach, we have actually got to take that coach's advice. Right. And,
that's right.
You know, if they tell us you suck at something, I'm sorry, you got to suck it up and say, okay, yes, you're right on that. You know, because they're looking from, you know, an outsider's standpoint there, I think. Mm-hmm. But for her to hire her CFO, for her to hire her operations manager, you know, those are two really key things, right, that really propelled their organization. And I think that's just pretty awesome, you know. And I think that we as entrepreneurs can learn from that, you know, all the way around.
Well, Ags, that's going to do it for another episode of Aggie Growth Hacks. We hope that you enjoyed this episode and that you check out Rayne at theroofergirl.com. She's all over all the social medias. And like I said, she is such a strong supporter of A&M and Aggie athletics that you'll be able to see her anytime you're at the next Kyle Field football game or Olson Field baseball game. Well, but anyway, as you're on the web, we hope that Chris and I, that you connect with us and you connect with Aggie Growth Hacks. Be sure to check out our Facebook group where we can continue this conversation, and also check out aggiegrowthhacks.com, where you can listen to previous episodes and check out some of our other amazing content.
Aggie Growth Hacks was produced by fellow Aggies over at Podcast Architects. We also want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship at Texas A&M University. Since 1999, the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship has served as the hub of entrepreneurship for Texas A&M. If you're an Aggie entrepreneur or even a wantrepreneur, head over to their website now to find a program that's right for you. Just go to aggiegrowthhacks.com/McFerrin. So join us next time when we connect with another great Aggie entrepreneur and learn how they hack their growth. Until then, I'm Chris Hunter.
And I'm Greg Martin. Thanks and gig 'em.